Welcome to Pickleball, Michigan and Beyond, a show that explores the people, players, places, and most importantly, communities that make up pickleball in Michigan and around the world. Here's your host, Tony Conley.
Welcome to Pickleball, Michigan and Beyond. I'm your host, Tony Conley. Our producer is Benjamin Robinson. The sport and popularity of pickleball is exploding around the world, and especially here in Michigan. On Pickleball, Michigan and Beyond, we'll talk with the players, the pros, the facility owners, the tournament promoters, the equipment and clothing leaders, and most importantly, the communities that encompass pickleball. Our next guest is someone who's been a friend. I think I've known Brian, I think it's been 25 or 30 years now, as long as I've been married. Brian is one guy I admire a lot. He's not a super close friend, and I've never told him this, but I admire him so much because he's one of the best sales people I've ever met, whether it be houses or furniture or as the sales manager for a Harley Davidson location. He's just really good. And it's not just because he sells a lot. He knows his product. He fits the product to the customer. And I got a lot of respect for someone who can do that. And Brian made a boatload of money, and now he's retired. And that's a beautiful thing. Brian, how are you, my friend?
Oh, pretty good.
Now, a little story I should tell about Brian is he's an athletic guy, like a lot of folks I'm running into who are playing pickleball. I used to play fast pitch softball. I played basketball with the softball team just to stay in shape in the wintertime, played racquetball when he's a little bit younger. And he has been someone who's been trying to get me for years to play pickleball. And I always thought, yeah, Brian, I don't know. You got all these old folks here who can't move. It's boring. And he kept telling me, Tony, when you play, you're going to like it. When you play, you're going to like it. So 10 times in, Brian, and I just bought a racket, and here we go. A paddle, rather. And what's interesting is I brought Julie along, my wife, as you know, Brian, and now she's wearing a watch, and there's times she'll burn 1,000 calories in a 2-hour session. So my pickleball, I was thinking about you as I started this, and then as I started talking with people, they suggested I start the podcast. So here I am, and it's all because you put that little bug in my ear.
Hey, it's a great sport. I mean, I quit everything else just to play pickleball.
All right. So before we dive into pickleball, tell us a little bit about your background, where you grew up, and bring us to where you are now, Brian.
Well, I grew up in Lansing, went to Lansing Eastern High School, which they're tearing down as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
That was 54 years ago, I guess, since I've been there. I was always a person that I couldn't really do workout kind of stuff because it was just too boring. So I had to play a sport in order to stay in shape. So I've always played a sport ever since I was 5 years old. I've never quit. And I'm rolling up on 72 here in a couple of months.
Well, what I find interesting about you, I know you like to be active, but when we started talking about pickleball, you told me that there was so much more to it than that. So, you've got these great jobs throughout your career of selling. You're doing all these other activities. Take us to the first time you played pickleball and what that was like and why you started.
Well, I was getting ready to retire, and my wife and I were moving up to Ludington to the home we had purchased up there a number of years before. And I was looking for a softball team to play on up there. And I'd played with the same softball team in Delta Township League for 24 years and couldn't find one. Come to find out, they weren't listed through the county or the townships. They had a really small league that I found out about later. So I couldn't find a team to get on. And I happened to be working out in the mornings at Alive out in Charlotte. We had moved out there because my wife was working at the hospital in Battle Creek. We moved out there for the last 2 years of our working life. And so I was working out in the morning at Alive, and they had a glass gym in the center of this place. And they were playing pickleball at 7 o'clock in the morning. And so I was doing my track around the outside of this gym and watching them, and I'm thinking that kind of looks like kind of a fun game. So I just kind of walked in there one day and said, "Can anybody play?" And they said, "Sure. We've got some paddles here." And I started off with a plywood paddle that they had there at the gym, and started playing at 7 o'clock in the morning, and fell in love with the game. As
Something you
fast paced, was really fun, and I got good at it pretty quick.
what do you tell folks, Brian, who say you got a bunch of old folks playing, there's not much movement to it? What do you say to those folks?
I just like you. I tell them to come on out. I'll put a couple of welts on them.
It's something else that you said that kind of ingrained with me. Once you moved up to Ludington, you have this community up there that you guys
Oh
play a lot of
yes,
you play a lot of pickleball, but it's talk about that community also, Brian.
it's like that. It's like that pretty much anywhere. It's such a social sport, and I think it's because most of the people that were playing when I started were retired. Now there's a lot more young people getting into it, but there was mostly retired people playing it. And it was mostly my generation of people. They were 65 plus. And we've always been that kind of a social people, from the early 70s. And it was kind of a thing where all my friends in Ludington, or all my wife and my friends in Ludington, are all pickleball players. And so we started playing up in Ludington. Actually, we moved up there in April, so it was still a little cold, and we'd have 3 indoor courts up there. So I started playing indoors, and just I met the 4 or 5 friends that I hang around with to this day, and that's been what, 7 years.
And in conversations you and I have had, you like to go to other clubs around the state. Talk about some of the cool places you've been to, Brian.
Yeah, well, every place we go, Lansing's real easy because I'm from there and I know all people, and I play at Court One if it's in the wintertime, and I play out at Towner Park, and at Patriarch Park if it's in the summertime. And we are in Lansing quite a bit. But wherever we travel, we do a lot of Airbnb traveling, and I never book an Airbnb before I know where the pickleball courts are.
Well, you were telling me you're in North Carolina now. You were telling me you were driving and you saw some people playing pickleball. Tell me that story again.
I was driving.
Yeah, and you saw some guys playing pickleball and you just went over and talked a
Well,
little
yeah,
bit
you
with
can
them.
do that
And
anywhere. I mean, it's so social, and it's not a sport. It's not the cool thing is it's not a team sport. I mean, everybody's kind of just there playing, and you mix it up. They have racks where you put your paddles, and you just walk out of the court, throw your paddle in the rack, and you play with the next 4 people that are up. And you can go online and find pickleball courts in, I think, pretty much any major city for sure, and any city that has at least 10,000 people in it, you can find pickleball courts. I mean, we're here on Oak Island. The population of Oak Island right now, I think somebody told me, is about 1,000 people that live here full time. There are some people here, obviously, doing what we're doing down here for the winter. But the pickleball courts are 5 minutes from this house we rented. We're, I don't know, 8, 10 blocks from the beach here. And I can go over there any day of the week and play with anywhere from 30 to 50 people.
what's your rating, Brian?
I'm a 4.0 plus.
And I know you've talked to me a little bit about you like to enter some tournaments. Talk about that tournament experience and what that's like.
Well, up till now, I've only played in the Ludington. We have 2 tournaments. We have one, which is the Pentwater Ludington kind of challenge. And then we have our annual fall tournament that people come in from all over the state. Some people come in from all over the country, some Florida, Kentucky. I mean, I've played against people in the Ludington tournament that are from California. So I've only played in those 2 tournaments, but I am playing in a tournament in Grand Rapids the first weekend of June, which is called the Meyer State Games. with a guy that I play with in Ludington. We're signed up to play down there. And then, of course, I'll play in the Pentwater Challenge, and I'll also play in the Ludington Pickleball Tournament again. Um, I am actually going to a professional tournament the Thursday would be the first, second, third. I think it's the 3rd of April in Raleigh, and going to watch the pros play. We're stopping in Raleigh on our way home from here to visit my wife's oldest son and his family, which we always do when we go back and forth between Florida and Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
I play there too. I played 3 different places in Raleigh, 1 indoor, 2 outdoor. I've played in California in 2 or 3 different places. I played in Florida. I played in Boone, North Carolina, which is a little mountain town.
Uh-huh.
We happened to rent a cabin there on the way home from Florida last year. And just for the giggles, I looked it up, and sure enough, they had an indoor pickleball facility there in Boone. And it's kind of affiliated with the college. There's a lot of college kids that are playing it now. And so I played there when we were in Boone.
Hmm. So Brian, when you start playing in tournaments, and this is a question I don't think I've asked anyone, and I should have. How do you know how do you find a partner? How do you know you guys kind of click?
Well, I mean, you usually would take a partner that you play with all the time.
Mhm.
I have a couple guys that I play with on a regular basis, and we have kind of a group in Ludington of, I don't know, maybe 12, 15 people that are what we call the 40 plus group that play together on a regular basis. And you just kind of, I mean, you have to have somebody that's a good player, but you also have somebody that you kind of click with too, and you're friends with. You don't want to, I mean, because, man, if you make a bad shot or whatever, you don't want somebody that's going to be on your case about it. But I've got 2 guys in Ludington that I'm pretty good friends with, and so I'm playing with each one of them in a different tournament this summer. And so you kind of take your own partner. You can also sign up for a tournament not having a partner, and there'll be people looking for partners.
Mm.
And so you just, I mean, if I mean, you don't know who you're going to get, but if you want to play in the tournament bad enough, you take whoever you get. And I've known
So
some guys that have done that, and they've come out of those tournaments with a guy that they played a lot with after that.
Brian, take me back to when you first started playing to now. How big is pickleball in Michigan, and why is it growing so fast?
Well, I mean, pickleball in Michigan's huge. I mean, any place you go, you can play pickleball. There's courts everywhere. And the nice thing about it is a lot of municipalities have turned old, rundown, weed-infested tennis courts that nobody's played on in 20 years into pickleball courts. And that's what we did in Ludington. We turned 3 tennis courts into 8 pickleball courts that the school wasn't using. They hadn't used in years. They had built a new complex. Ludington's a big tennis school, so they built a new complex, and these 3 courts just sat there deteriorating, and we turned them into pickleball courts. And it's happening everywhere. I mean, the one I play at here in Oak Island is a municipal course. The other thing cool about pickleball is, especially and kind of exclusively to the outdoor pickleball, is it's all free.
Hmm.
You don't have to pay to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can get into the sport for, a $100 pair of tennis shoes and a $100 paddle. For $200, you can go play pickleball.
Brian, your daughters and your grandkids, are they playing with you now? Are they interested at all?
Well, my daughter and my son-in-law live in Charlotte, and their 2 kids have played a few times, yes. They're probably they're the oldest grandkids, so they're the only ones that can actually really play.
Mm-hmm.
They're all good athletes. I mean, my daughter played volleyball in college. My granddaughter's playing volleyball in high school, and she's already got a couple of interested colleges in her.
Mm-hmm.
So they're pretty athletic. I think my granddaughter could probably be a pro pickleball player if she had the desire to do that. She wants to play volleyball like her mom did. But yeah, and you don't have to have great skill to play pickleball. It's not like you have to be great at it to play and have fun. Similar to golf. I mean, look how many people play golf and they're terrible at
it. Yeah. Before I let you go, Brian, I kind of know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Are you having fun?
Oh, yeah. It's a blast. I mean, I play probably, if my body would hold out, I'd probably play 7 days a week. But I kind of typically have to have like a day in between. So I kind of play every other day. But yeah, I play every day if I could, because it's about 2.5 to 3 hours in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So I go out and play at 9. By noon, I'm home. My wife and I can still do whatever we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't really interfere. It's not like, I play golf like 3 or 4 times a summer with a group of guys that I've known forever up in Ludington. And that takes all day. That's an all day thing. By the time you play 18 holes and then you drink afterwards and, you get home and it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon and your day's shot. But pickleball, you can just go out and play a couple hours, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever you want to do. And then you're home by noon and you have the rest of the day.
Brian, you still doing any cardio or any weight training in your fitness regimen?
Yeah, I still do some free weights. And I'm at West Shore Community College. We play pickleball in the wintertime. We have 3 courts out there. And they have a nice little weight room there. So I do that there. And then at home, I just got a few dumbbells and I do some weight training.
All right, Brian, before I let you go, for folks who happen to be up in that Ludington area, especially in the summertime, talk about some of the places they should look to go and play.
Yeah. Just come to the courts. The courts are 2 blocks off of Stearns Beach, off of Lake Michigan, in the football complex there for the high school. And it's open play from 9 to 1 o'clock, 7 days a week.
Ludington's own Brian Bauknecht. Brian, my friend, we were supposed to get together last summer. Now, when I come up, we definitely are going to do some pickleball. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm assuming that you'd be really good at it. You and Julie both, because you're both athletic.
And competitive as heck too, so that kind of feeds into it too. Brian, I appreciate you. I can't wait to get up and play pickleball and have some cocktails with you.
Okay, great.
We want to thank our audience. I'm Tony Conley. This has been Pickleball Michigan and Beyond. Our producer is Benjamin Robinson, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Pickleball Michigan and Beyond. Follow us on Facebook and check out our website, pickleballmichiganandbeyond.com.